There's a lot of talk these days about frequency, and there's some really good revelation out there, but there's also some misunderstanding. And honestly, it can be a bit convoluted. Sometimes terms are used in ways that don't align with scientific understanding. So I'm going to share from my understanding of frequencies, how they relate to us physically and emotionally and spiritually, and more importantly, how they relate to our Creator's voice. So let's dive into it. As I see it, all frequencies are contained within Yahweh. The full spectrum of EMF exists within His being. And since all frequencies exist and emanate from Him, I feel it's inaccurate to refer to any frequency as good or bad. It seems quite proper to refer to them as neither negative or positive, according to the human understanding. Whether emotional or physical, they're not inherently corrupt. They're not innately bad or good. They just are. They extend out of the Father's fullness, out of His express creativity. If you consider the full spectrum of EMF, which incorporates not just light and heat, but the full spectrum of frequencies from the ultra-low like ELF to the ultra-high like X-ray or gamma ray, all of those are included in His being. They radiate from Him as the all in all. He emits every frequency. And these frequencies constantly bombard our bodies with varying levels of strength. We are receiving them every second of our day, our entire life. If you consider our body as a complex system of antennae, we receive different EMFs throughout the different antennas. Some come through the eyes, other through the ears, the mouth, the nose, the skin, and the nervous system. They're all different kinds of frequency receptors within the whole antenna array of our being. We are constantly receiving information, knowingly or unknowingly, and we're being affected by it. Large amounts of EMF are passing through us, activating antennas tuned to resonate with a corresponding frequency. By the way, frequency is really just a measurement. The water lapping upon the shore has a frequency. The annual movement of the Earth around the Sun, or the other way around if your belief includes flat Earth, it all has frequency. Every planet has a frequency of motion or movement over time, you might say. So, in the case of EMF, frequency is simply a measurement of energy or movement over time. When we associate frequency with an energy event, whether the spark of a light in a light bulb or movement of the air in someone's voice, what we're really doing is differentiating between the size of the waveform, not the type. Now, when speaking of types, most energy falls into two categories. There's the electromagnetic frequencies, or EMFs, and then there are the mechanical acoustic frequencies, also known as sound and vibration. These two types can easily become confused because they are often interrelated. For example, EMF can produce sound by inducing vibrations in the material that reacts to energy waves created by magnetic fields passing through it. Consider the headphones or speakers that you're listening to right now, or the microphone I used to create this recording. There's movement involved with the sound particles. They're actually bumping into one another, creating vibration that the nerve endings in our ears and skin are tuned to pick up or receive. The wind is also mechanically acoustic. Its movement causes vibration in other materials that we can sometimes feel, and ultimately hear as sound. Now, light frequencies are different from sound frequencies. It's electromagnetic energy that can be seen and felt as heat, in the case of infrared. What's so very interesting is that the nerve endings in our skin can feel vibration and heat. And this is something to consider when talking about frequencies. The voice is mechanically acoustical, and sight is electromagnetic, so it's important, I think, to delineate between the two. Even though they both are measured in frequencies, they are not the same type of energy. And not every voice is mechanical. When the Father speaks, it is felt and heard internally. On very rare occasions, some people have had the opportunity to hear an audible voice, but most of the time, it's through internal emotional connections at the soul level. It is possible that this way of communicating may be EMF in nature, frequencies that can't be felt with the body, but vibrate in the emotional dimension of the soul. Spiritual sight could also be viewed in the same way. When Yeshua said, "I see," I believe he saw an EMF energy in the physical, but he also saw into the spiritual dimensions. Regardless, these are all forms of communicative energy that the senses of our body and soul perceive, each picking up signals in their own unique way. So let's talk about the body as a collection of antennae. As I said previously, our body is a transceiver. It receives and transmits energetic information. Like a two-way radio, your body is able to communicate in a wide range of frequencies. But unlike a small handheld radio or cell phone, which is going to have a very small or narrow range of frequencies, our body communicates on a vast range of frequencies throughout its complex antenna network. Just take the five senses as the most obvious frequency receptors. Our eyes pick up the faster moving EMFs of light. Our skin receives and transmits infrared, which is also on the light spectrum but at a much lower frequency. But it can also pick up the ultraviolet, which is on the other side of the light spectrum. Now, our ears pick up a wide range of mechanical frequencies through molecular vibration. This includes some of which we are unconsciously aware of, but are still being received. For instance, the science of subliminal messaging takes advantage of these subconscious energy waves to influence the changes within the human psyche. And although the changes are not immediate, they are very effective with prolonged use. The fifth sense of feeling, through the nervous system, is capable of receiving slow and fast frequencies. They don't all feel like heat, but at the atomic level, there is a massive agitation occurring with X-ray and gamma-like frequencies. As I said earlier, it can be confusing to know what type of frequencies we're being affected by at any given moment, because in truth, they are all at play, all the time. And this can be seen best by their combined effects upon the emotions. Your mood changes are often influenced by a combination of energies received by the body and soul. The movie industry understands this all too well. Soulful soundtracks and captivating cinematography in movies have leveraged this truth with profound effect for many decades. As such, I've changed the way I think and relate to frequencies. Not as good or bad, but how my soul and body respond to them. I believe that mankind has the capacity to consciously perceive more transmissions than we do now. We just haven't developed them. And I believe that as sons of God, created in the image of our older brother Yeshua, Father intends for us to become like him with the ability to increase our capacity to hear, receive, and send energy waves at various frequencies. If Yahweh contains the full energy spectrum within his being, meaning his voice contains the full spectrum of wave energy, then when he speaks, he has within his voice the capacity to create and destroy. If he were to speak in just gamma rays over the human tissue, he could essentially destroy human tissue with that portion of his voice. And I believe he has the capacity to transmit energy on any frequency with his voice, because it contains the complete spectrum. What's more, he has the capacity to receive or transmit all frequencies. Now, I believe as I improve my understanding of frequencies and I grow in maturity as a sovereign illuminated being, I expect that I will be able to move and live and have my being, regardless of positive or negative influences, as people ascribe them, to various EMF energies that flow through and around me. In fact, I believe that as we all become like the Father, we will be able to produce those same energies that work to sustain, improve, and increase health and life in the world around us. Because we're not just antennas, we're transceivers, and we receive and transmit energy on multiple frequencies at the same time. Everything has a waveform for transmitting information, for communicating. We see this displayed everywhere in creation. Take, for example, the stars. Every star has an energy frequency it communicates on. We see its light, and we have technology that can also receive radio frequencies it transmits. Some have even proposed that they may be singing to us. Regardless, stars communicate to all creation, and I believe they can receive as well. As we become who we're designed to be, I believe that we can develop the capability to communicate with any frequency out there, including the stars. It may not be through sound of our voice, but it may be through other capable antennae within the communication framework of our being. They're turned off, you might say. We just have to activate them. You might have heard it said that we only use 5% of our brain. So what's going on in the other 95%? What sort of technologies of the mind lay dormant within that portion? It's safe to say we're not living up to the full potential of our being, and that includes the capacity to communicate. We see nuances of it in various human interactions with the world around us. We receive feeling, we sense things in nature, but we haven't learned how to transmit those same frequencies back to nature intelligently. I think Adam and Eve did. Prior to their removal from the garden, I believe they were able to activate and make use of the full array of antennae within their being to communicate to the plants and the animals. And they knew exactly how to provide for creation because they were able to hear and speak at the right frequency for each. As stewards, as master gardeners over creation, they were able to not just manage it, but to speak and have relationship and communicate with it all. Not just the plants and animals, but the elements too. The water, the earth, the air, fire, all of creation, stars and planets included. Yeshua spoke to the storm, right? Now he used his voice, but I also believe he was communicating with more than his vocal cords. As the Son of God, he was communicating to both water and air, and in his voice, he communicated one thing, but behind the voice was also other frequencies going out of his soul and body. His whole being was communicating, and creation was listening and responding. As children of God, in the likeness of Yeshua, we have the same capacity. It's part of our inheritance. But as I said, we just haven't unlocked it yet. As we become more aware as transceivers and learn how to activate the antenna within our being, we'll start communicating many more energetic frequencies. With understanding, we'll be able to communicate with the world around us as part of our job as stewards over creation. If you like what you're hearing and want to subscribe and follow what I'm doing at Segula Studios, you can head over to substack.com, look up Segula Studios, and hit the subscribe button. I'm also on X, Telegram, and YouTube, and you can check me out on Discord as well. Until next time, keep pursuing the you He designed you to be.